What does that mean? Does it mean you're a little girl?
I'm white, and I've got everything I need. No one clutches their purses when they're in a room alone with me. And I can drive for any neighborhood I please at any hour, and the police don't do a thing. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I got everything I need. I'm a guy getting paid more than a girl with a degree. And I can walk down the streets after dark, no one wants to rape me. And I can get a girl pregnant and just as easily flee. Just like my straight white male dad did to me. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. I've got a pile of broken mirrors and I'm walking under ladders and I'm spilling tons of salt, but to me that doesn't matter, cause my skin and my gender and my orientation are the best things to have if you live in this nation. I recommend it highly. I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. Shit's gonna work out for me, cause I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, live listeners. Welcome, live viewers. And welcome, people on the podcast. This is the Intellectual Dollar Tree. We do the show live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Great new way to support the show, by the way. Go to eplex.store, sign up for a membership there. Works just like Patreon, but you also get a bit of a discount in our shop. Also, while you're in the shop, buy something. It helps us out, and the items are fly. Speaking of fly items, two people are joining me tonight instead of one, and both of you have some of the fly items from the shop. Let's go with the less common co-host here. What's going on? How you doing?
I assume that's me because I'm not usually on this show. I'm historian Matt. You can find me on other Echoplex Media shows like How the Tech Are You, which is not a live show. It's recorded and we post it on YouTube and all your podcatchers. So check us out. It's all about technology and science and news and stuff like that. I'm here because the topic we're covering is particularly interesting for me, and I requested to be on this show. So the other white guy on the panel today.
Well, my name is HK Perrin, and I too am also on How the Tech Are You as well. And I'm also on this show. And you can find me if you want to view my ramblings. You can find me on Mastodon at hperrin at port87.social.
Okay, great. Thanks both of you for being here. Before we get started here, I want to explain to everybody what we're watching here. There's an event that happens every year, unless there's a pandemic. It's called Dreamfarce. Dreamfarce is put on by the company Salesforce. It is I would suggest against attending Dreamfarce. I feel like there's probably a bit of sexual harassment that goes on like at any other conference, but it's probably a lot worse because it's fucking salespeople. And it's like the worst salespeople too. And every once in a while they'll have, problematic speakers. And as far as like problematic inspirational speakers go, you can't really do, I would say better, but worse, I guess, than Tony Robbins. So what we're going to watch now is from 2017 Dreamfarce. And what I'd like to kind of try to keep an eye on this for some of the same manipulation tactics that we see from our favorite IDW people. See if we can spot some of those. Of course, that's not going to be the only thing we're going to dunk on this idiot for, but we'll try to at least watch this with an eye for that. I have a feeling we're going to get some new people on the podcast feed because of this one, because none of the like IDW critical podcasts have done anything on Tony Robbins. And everybody, we tried to do a Tony Robbins thing before, but it was just him interviewing some other asshole. And it was like probably one of the worst episodes of Intellectual Dollar Tree we've ever put out. We were hoping to hear more from Tony himself. But don't worry, this is a full speech from Dreamfarce of the man, the myth, the alleged sexual assaulter, Tony Robbins.
Going crazy. How you all doing? How you all doing out there, Dreamfarce?
Please clap.
Thank you. Please grab a seat. So after that introduction by Mark, we have a lot of history together, and I'm very grateful for the kind words he said. I have had the privilege of interacting with him, knowing him indirectly.
Please breathe into your mic more.
Certainly directly for the last 15 years of this journey. And it's so amazing to watch Dreamfarce grow from 1,300 people to 135,000, 5 million people online. This man has created like a festival. It's like a music festival for geeks.
These aren't geeks. These are salespeople.
Yeah, they're not really known for being geeks.
Right.
Also,
I mean,
5 million people online?
I mean, probably not concurrently, but over the course of the event, probably, yeah.
Okay, like total views.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not concurrent viewers, no. I mean, that's a pretty high number, but I wouldn't be surprised if over the course of something like this, it gets 5 million views. A music festival for geeks is actually South by Southwest, and I don't think they're ever going to let Tony Robbins speak at that. Not that South by Southwest is great, but, you know, he's probably never spoken at South by.
Excuse me, I mean techies. We're all techies, right?
No, you're not.
Can we have a hand for Mark for this creation?
He is decidedly not a techie.
It's truly amazing.
Dude, move your mic, dude. Get your mic away from your nose.
Really find a way to add value. We all know in this room, there's only one way you succeed long term. Anybody can get lucky, do something for a period of time, but real success in any measure whatsoever comes with
Getting lucky multiple times.
Having rich parents.
Yeah.
Rich friends.
Having rich parents and getting lucky. That's the best way.
Ooh, rich friends too,
Yeah.
to buy you a Ferrari.
Yeah. Rich parents, rich friends, and getting lucky. That's the way to be successful long term.
You find a way to add more what? Value. And if we find the way
More
to
rich friends and parents?
we can be superior in the marketplace, but we can also be superior in our own lives. We can enjoy our lives at a different level. We can have a different set of pride that isn't fake. It's not ego. Ego is when you try to make it better than it is, and you know the truth is it's not. But when you really are in a position, when you're in a position where you own...
I would disagree that adding more value is what would make you successful. I know a lot of people I know of a lot of people, and I know some personally, don't add any value to anything, and they're wildly successful. A certain name comes to mind.
So I'm thinking it's more about the ability to extract value from something for your own personal gain is what he's talking about.
Yeah, a certain name is coming to mind. Someone who recently made a very large investment that is not paying off. Who tends to respond to things with poop emojis.
Yeah. I was going to say this. I don't know if you guys been around some of these motivational types much, but like the value thing, like, and giving value or making value or whatever whatever value, that is really a very common theme in these talks, especially around motivation, and particularly motivation around like making money, which is what almost all the motivational stuff is about anyways. So I'll probably hear a lot of it.
I mean, if you want to look at someone who creates a lot of value, teachers create a fuck ton of value for society as a whole. And every year their wages go down.
Yeah,
well, even when they go up, they still don't offset inflation. So they're still going down.
Inflation. I mean, when he said, again, I don't think he's not talking about creating value. He's talking about extracting value here.
Yep.
And that's what rich people do. They extract value from work, natural resources, the government, any number of places that they can find to extract value from.
On a significant scale, then you have an opportunity to really experience not only success, but fulfillment. And this conference has gotten bigger and bigger, not only in its size, but also in its impact. And so I'm really privileged to be back with you here. And I know you're raising...
It's gotten bigger in its impact, even though I've never heard of this conference before.
I'm very, very into hunger, to say the least, primarily because I was so hungry at the stage of my life. And my life was completely changed because when I was 11 years old, we had no money and no food. And we gotten used to that, but it was Thanksgiving, which makes it more emotional. And my parents,
So these are claims that nobody can ever fact check, but ain't none of these motivational speaker types that were like, actually, my parents are doing real good and we had a fabulous Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Like I would imagine the three of us grew up not hungry, you know, but so we would never be good motivational speakers because they'd go, what was your childhood like? I'd be like fairly normal, except that I'm gay. Like fairly like middle or upper middle class. They'd be like, get out of my motivational speech thing full of rich people.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. From what I can tell, like Tony Robbins did have a very good childhood from some of the history that I got, but I don't remember. It's been a while. I know, like, was it Mune Cat did a long, I think like a 2-part series on him. It's like several hours long. And she goes over all the issues with him.
Well, no worries about us doing a 2-part series on him. We did like a 10th of a part series on him before. And so we'll do like a 1.1 part series on him.
Yeah. Anyways, I recommend it for anybody who's interested in learning more about Tony Robbins.
Is that after you say them, you can never take them back. And it was very profoundly painful, obviously, for myself as the oldest and trying to keep my brothers and sisters from hearing it. But it profoundly changed me because that day something changed my life, and it was somebody simply coming and delivering food. And it wasn't the person, wasn't giving it, it was a delivery guy. And it wasn't a happy moment for my father. It was interesting. My mom and dad are yelling at each other. My mom's saying things to my father, you haven't taken care of us. Pretty painful moment. And the door happens, and I go to open the door, and there's this tall guy standing there with these big bags of food, and on the ground beside him he had this pan with uncooked turkey. And he said, is your father here? And I said,
why is there just a chair on the stage?
And I sprinted to get my dad, thinking this was going to be the most euphoric moment you could possibly imagine. Like, God had come.
I'm
by
guessing
and
there's going to be a
somebody
striptease
cared
later.
about us, whatever you
Ew.
want to frame it. And my father came to the front door begrudgingly, and when he saw the man, he got very angry. And he said, we don't take charity. And he went to slam the door. And the man was a very tall guy, and he put his arm or shoulder against it. It kind of bounced off of him. And he said, sir.
What is that, fucking Superman?
Everybody has tough times.
If Superman comes to bring me food, I'm going to take it because I feel like I don't have much choice.
Yeah.
I feel like he might be embellishing this story just a
you don't
little
say.
bit. Just a teens of a tad.
That man grew up to be Hulk Hogan.
Somebody knows you're in need, and they want you to have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Please accept this gift. And my father got even more intense and started saying, I don't accept charity. And this time the man put his foot there and it bounced off of it. And then he said something to my father that I thought.
And my father fucking shot him, and the bullet bounced right off his eye.
He looked at me in the background and said, don't let your family suffer because of your ego. It was intense words to say. My father didn't know what to do. He grabbed the food, he slammed it down and slammed the door. And I tell you the story because everything in our life is controlled by 3 decisions. And those 3 decisions I'd like you to look at today because...
Like, do you fuck with Superman?
Eat.
Yeah, it's just, do you fuck with Superman or do you take his gift? What are the other 2?
Apparently lie a lot about what happened in your past.
I don't know. Just, do you have ethics? That's like one of the biggest determining factors of whether you'll be successful. And I put quotes around that because, these people's idea of success is having lots of money. And my idea of success, and I'm sure you guys too, is not having lots of money. It's like having a good life, being happy, and just generally being like helpful to those around you.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if all of a sudden there was $6 million in my checking account, but I would immediately hire a financial planner and then a lawyer because I'd be like, I probably stole this money while I was sleepwalking.
But like, would you give up your ethics to make money?
It really depends. It depends on how big of a compromise is it and how much money is it. I think that's everybody's calculus.
I mean, if you look at every single billionaire, there is not a billionaire in the world who is not unethical.
Well, I'm not worried about all of a sudden waking up being a billionaire because of some unethical decision I made, HK.
I love Mark dearly. I really want to serve you, and you all are giving the greatest gift you have, your time. You can get your money back, but you can't get your time back. And so I really want to serve you. And I think one of the most powerful things we could do to serve you is have you become...
Imagine trying to get a refund from Tony Robbins.
What the controlling force is that's controlling the quality of your life. And you and I both know it's not the amount of money in your pocket. It's not who you know. It's not even what you've been through. It's really the decisions you make moment to moment about a couple of different things. And the 3 decisions I made in that moment that I'd like to pull your attention to just real quick are, in this moment you're making these 3 decisions, by the way. The first one is, what are you going to focus on? In that day, my father focused clearly on the fact that he had not taken care of his family. And whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. In fact, many of us in this room, who's ever focused on something, you were thinking something horrible was going to happen, you experienced the pain of that failure or that challenge in your life, and then it never ever happened. Who's had this experience? Say, I. And if things aren't bad in your life, you can...
Like only 3 people raised their hand.
Bad in advance.
Yeah, what did he mean by that?
Focus on, you'll feel.
You're afraid something's going to happen and it doesn't happen?
You've never had that experience of being worried about something, probably usually something that will happen, something in the future, may or may not actually happen, or, eventually, apparently, according to this question, it doesn't actually happen. I don't know if I can give a good example, but
the way he described it was very odd. Like,
but yeah, I mean, like legitimately, everybody worries about some bad shit that ends up not happening. That's like he just didn't say anything right there, right? There's nothing insightful about that. It's just a common occurrence. There are people.
It's also,
go ahead.
It's also like the basis for, or part of the basis for cognitive behavioral therapy, that you're, thinking about things, you're exaggerating the harm that can come from things to happen, including assuming a bad thing is gonna happen when it doesn't.
That's not to be confused with cock and ball torture, which is the other CBT.
That one, the bad thing actually happens.
It depends. It depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Focus equals feeling, because if you start to take control of your focus, you take control of your life. But that day he focused on the fact that clearly he had failed his family, and that was the meaning. The second decision you make is, what does it mean? As soon as you look at something, think about something, focus on it, you gotta decide, what does this mean? Is this the beginning or the end? Is this punishment and reward? Is God trying to hurt me or trying to challenge me? Or is this nothing to do with God?
Okay, so this is obvious when not everything has a meaning.
Right, yeah. We're like hardwired. We rewatched the Jordan Peterson, Matt Dillahunty late at night a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, and we're like hardwired, and it's one of the things Matt was saying, is that we're hardwired to, and hardwired is a stupid word, but I don't have a better term for it. We're the descendants of people who tried to generate meaning out of everything. And it keeps you alive by making meaning out of everything, because we're like the fucking main character of our own story and shit. This is not very insightful. And you're right, like some things don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Also that's, what does something mean? That's so general.
And vague.
Could something be anything? Can I wonder about the meaning of Jupiter? What does Jupiter mean?
Oh, it's awesome though. I'm glad we're its neighbor. It hasn't declared war on us or anything, man. It's cool. It hasn't tried to sell us a self-help fucking course.
You don't know if Jupiter hasn't declared war on us. Maybe it has, and we just haven't gotten word yet.
Like the meanings we give to things control our life. If you think it's the end of a relationship, are you going to behave the same way as you think it's the beginning of a relationship? In the beginning of a relationship, when you're totally in love with someone, what will you do for them?
Oh, they showed 3 for a second there.
Oh, come on, guys. What will you do when you're totally in love? Shout out. What will you do? What? Make the sound of what it's like when you're totally in love, out of your mind. Just go ahead and make that
Oh, no.
primal sound of what that feels like. Just go for it so we get...
That's the love sound.
I mean, if you're totally in love out of your mind and it's unrequited, the sound could sound like harassment.
Yeah.
Why is he asking people to make this sound? That's not a sound that's like a common human experience.
If everybody just groaned like they were getting off or something, it would be very funny.
Yeah, he's joking, right? This is a joke. There's people laughing in the background. I feel like this is a joke. It's just a really bad one.
I just don't know if he knows it's a joke.
No, I think he does. He's smiling. It's just a really bad joke.
It's been a long time for some of you, I can see really clearly. Let's try.
Were they cheering?
That was a joke.
You cheer when you're in love?
Like you can't wait to touch them, make love to them, be with them. Make the sound of what that would be like. Go ahead, nice and loud. Go ahead.
cheering.
So
This
when
is
you
making
have
me
a
uncomfortable.
meaning that
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable too. That's the I mean,
He's getting really close to just saying like make the sound of an orgasm.
make porno noises, please.
Yeah.
Is he trying to sexually harass this entire audience?
if there's one man that could do it, Matt, it's probably Tony Robbins.
Because he has motivation.
He's thinking, well, they can't all sue me.
thing, and you will do what for them? What will you do? Anything. What if you were that way with your client? What if you're that way with your internal customers, called your partners? You go, well, we'd have real sexual problems with HR. That would be the real challenge. But if your commitment was the same, when you're in that place, you do anything in the beginning of a relationship. In the beginning of a relationship, if your partner said, would you take out the trash? What do you say? Take out the trash.
Or you could be like, it's your turn, actually. You could still be in love and be like, I think it's your turn. Like, a good relationship might be like where you are like, no, I did it last night. Like, you could have a great relationship like that.
Someone said, take out the trash. Go, what do I look like? You're
Dave, are you taking trash out every night? How much trash are you producing?
I'll give you a clue. If you
Some people have little trash cans.
relationship to last,
I'm just
think
kidding
it's
you.
coming to the end. Do what you did in the beginning, and there won't be an end. Because when you think it's the beginning, you behave differently than the end. The meaning we associate to things controls our entire lives. It's not.
Is this supposed to be relationship advice? Because it's pretty bad relationship advice.
I don't know. It sounds like The Secret. Have you ever seen The Secret?
Yes, I have. It's terrible. Do you mean because there's a book and a movie? And I just saw the movie, which is like a documentary style. It's really bad.
This is like The Secret, but for salespeople.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he said the meaning that we associate with, and I assume he means assign, the meaning that we assign things. What did he say? Like controls
Controls our lives.
your life.
Yeah.
Which like, okay, that is the least actually insightful thing I've ever heard.
Right. This is obvious that we make meaning out of everything. It's just what we do. It's like a part of the human condition. Like they're like sociopaths and psychopaths sometimes have a hard time making meaning out of things, and that's one of the reasons they are the way they are. Like it's one of the things that one of the ways you diagnose psychopaths and sociopaths is they don't assign meaning to things the same way other people do. This is amazing. This is just like bog standard. This isn't even like motivational speech shit. This is like bad relationship advice shit.
Yeah.
And this is meant to be an event for salespeople, right? So
Supposedly.
they're meant to get something that would help them to sell things. And he's just saying, oh yeah, you know, the things that we find meaningful are the things that we do with our life. It's like, okay, cool. What can I do with that? Fucking nothing.
Sell an order of 5,000 widgets to my customer.
Certainly that's painful.
You know, that advice in a bag of chips is worth exactly one bag of chips.
Take control of the meaning. It's the only thing we can control our lives. We can't control events. And we're living now where technology is happening so rapidly.
We can control events.
What it
Like,
does for our lives.
does he think no one set up this event?
He's at an event that somebody's definitely in charge of.
Yeah, we can control. What the fuck is he talking about? Does he just mean like all events? Yes, we can't control all events. But like when I decide to make dinner or when I decide to turn the TV off, I can control those things.
I believe that he is doing sort of the dime store Stoic philosophy kind of idea. And specifically, it's the dichotomy of control. That's what he's talking about. I know I hate to bring up Stoic philosophy.
Well, don't worry. I've known you for how many years before you brought it up? You're fine.
Okay.
If I've known you for how many minutes and you bring it up, I'm going to find somebody else to talk to at the cocktail party.
So real quick, I got to get this out. So the dichotomy of control is the idea that there are things in your life that you can control, things in your life that you can't control. And as I say that, I'm sure Hunter will come up with like 100 things that come in between that, but that's not the point. The point is that a very generic kind of basis, you can do that. And so he's talking about so there's certain events you can't control. And the idea is, if it's something that you can't control, there's no point in worrying about it because there's nothing you can do to change it. And if it's something that you can control, then there's no reason worrying about it because, well, you would just do whatever it is to control it and do the thing that you want.
Right.
Okay, so
hold on. This is they have this concept. It's the serenity prayer. It's grant me the serenity to change the things I can, to accept the things I can't, and to know the difference or whatever the fuck it is. They end those NA meetings with that shit. That's what he's doing. He's doing the serenity prayer essentially.
Yeah, he's doing something similar.
No, with that technology, our psychology is not developing as rapidly. And as a result, the world's changing. And a lot of us that have learned to engage with technology and use it to maximize, most people in this room, but there's lots of people who use technology to disengage, to be harmful to themselves and to other people. It's not a one-way street. So I'm interested in how to maximize the psychology side. That's why I'm sharing this with you, so you can increase both your leadership skill, but who do you have to lead first to be effective, my friends? Who? Yourself. And so good to see. What's controlling you? Well, what I'm focusing on is controlling me. You can focus on something, you make yourself crazy. You can focus on something and make yourself great. In this moment, you could be worried about Ebola, because we all know it's coming.
Wait, no, we didn't know that. We were unsure about Ebola. Don't get your medical advice from fucking grifters. Actually, this is a precursor to something else that happened to everybody.
I assume he became like a COVID denier as well later on.
That I don't know.
Oh.
Also, unless you come into contact with someone else's bodily fluids, you don't need to worry about Ebola.
I was about to say something very inappropriate that I'm just going to kind of leave on the table. I hope that's okay with everybody.
6,000 people died.
As long as that's what you're leaving on the table and not...
Because the news is not designed to inform you, it is designed to startle you. Because that's how you sell things. So if you let someone else take control of your focus, your life will be in someone else's hands. So first decision is what you're going to focus. Second, meaning. My father that day focused on he hadn't taken care of his family, and the meaning was, I know what it was because he said it out loud, that I'm worthless. Now, when you come up with a meaning, it produces an emotion.
Sounds like you're pretty not worthless if somebody cared about you enough to bring you food to feed your family. Somebody else saw value in you. You dumb fuck.
And if you and I want to look at the quality of our life, there's only a way to define it. One way, really, that's real. How do you feel every day? If every day of your life you got $1 billion and every day you feel guilty or angry.
Well, if I was extracting $1 billion from the economy every day, I'd feel kind of guilty about it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. Like, I know money's a social construct and they'll just fucking print more or whatever, but I'd feel pretty bad about it. And if I was extracting $1 billion a day out of the economy, I'd give away all of it, but $1,500, man. $1,500 a day is a pretty good income. My God.
Yeah, I feel like if someone were extracting $1 billion from the economy every day, then it would be unethical to let them continue living.
I would just prevent them from doing that. I wouldn't prevent them from alive.
I assume
what if
he's
they
going
do it again, though. Like I'm not usually in favor of capital punishment.
I assume he's not going to go into all the psychology around like making money and following, people who've won the lottery and their psychological problems and all that stuff.
Well, the problem with people who win the lottery is that they just don't immediately give the money to some disinterested party to manage who gives them an allowance. Like literally, that's the problem with winning the lottery is that people don't do that.
The problem is somebody who wins the lottery, they probably don't know how to manage money, and they suddenly have a lot of it and need to know this information. They don't have it. So, yeah.
Than an angry rich man or woman, isn't there? You just want to slap them, don't you? How do you have the right to be angry?
I mean, that could just be their disposition. That's like a thing.
You're angry and you're pissed off.
And they might seem angry. They might seem angry from the outside, but then if you meet them, they might not be really an angry person. That's just like they're gruff or some shit,
Well, they may be angry because a lot of people keep asking him for money.
There is a quite famous saying that money does not buy you happiness.
Yeah.
Lack of money can cause unhappiness, but money doesn't necessarily cause happiness.
So in the United States, actually, depending on where you live, after about 80 or 90 grand, if you're single or whatever, money stops buying you any kind of joy or happiness because your material needs are met. You can go on vacation, all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard like very similar stuff, all sorts of different numbers for that.
It depends where you live. And if you have a family,
it's
maybe
very
it's, if
dependent.
you have a family of 4, maybe for the family of 4, it's 150 or whatever, where you stop being, happy or whatever. It depends on if happiness to you is buy every brand new Ferrari, then I guess the number gets higher. But
angry, pissed off, and guilty. If you have nothing, I live in Fiji a portion of the time. I have a home there and a resort there and kind of 2 families of villages there that I interact with the last 25 years. And when you go to Fiji and you walk down the street or you drive by, people jump up and they yell, "Bula, bula, bula," which means welcome, be happy, we love you. And you drive by 5 minutes later and they jump up, "Bula, bula, bula." And you're going like, what drugs are they taking? No one's paying them. But they're just...
That's probably a mistranslation. Something like "fuck off" or something.
fuck off, get off my island, asshole. You bought a
Stop
third
stealing our water.
You bought a third of my old neighborhood, get the fuck out of here.
Focus on something else and come up with a different meaning for life. But if the meaning is it's the end, if the meaning is that you're dissing me, if the meaning is you don't care, whatever meaning we come up with, that affects the third decision, which is what am I going to do? And what people do is based on the meaning, because the meaning creates emotion. Right? You can be miserable no matter what you have, and you can be euphoric having nothing. We all know it's true. In fact, is it possible to learn to, for example...
I would not say that that's true. I don't think you can be euphoric having nothing. I think maybe like someone who's mentally ill can, but if you have all your faculties and you just have zero money, you're going to be depressed.
Also, you have to understand, like, his point of view having nothing probably means you make 120 a year, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, the scale of, like, where it starts becoming nothing for Tony Robbins is, like, where it starts becoming, like, upper middle class for regular-ass fucking people, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you're rich for long enough, you, like, kind of, like lose perspective on money, or I think most people do.
And you think that you can be happy even if you're just in like an incredible amount of debt.
In this centered space.
Like some people would love to have nothing. They have negative things. They have negative thousands or hundreds of thousands of things. And they're upset about that. The having negative of the things. If they had nothing, they'd probably be happier than they are now, having less than nothing.
And you could still feel great? Is that possible? Yes or no? Yes or no? Sure, but you and I live in a Western culture. Well, if you sit and bliss out, people come and take your furniture. So we have to be good at not only controlling the internal world, but our external.
I mean, as opposed to what culture?
What people do is based on
what culture can you just sit around and do nothing and no one's going to be upset?
I just wonder, like, has he had like his furniture stolen recently at the time of this video? Did the people in Fiji go "bula bula bula," which means we're coming to take your couch?
And also, to be clear, I think we should live in a society where you can sit around and do nothing and no one will hassle you. I don't think you should live an exceptional life, but you shouldn't be like you shouldn't just die if you don't want to do anything. Like that's where we are right now, right? If you don't want to do anything, we just let you die. We're just like, well, no one's going to feed you, no one's going to take care of you, so you just die.
Unless, of course, you've gained enough capital through whatever means that you can do nothing, and then we say you're smart.
Right.
Yeah, true.
So
it's only
and I think all of you that are role models for people, where you show people that success does not mean taking, that success can mean truly growing and giving. That money, resources, and opportunity are things to be shared. They're things that are tools for a quality of life.
Great, write me a check.
Enhance for people and for yourself and your
I don't think he means that kind of sharing.
My father that day decided what to do was, if I failed and I've been worthless to my family, I must leave. And he did. And to me, it was the worst day of my life. I'll never forget it. I loved him more than anything. I had 4 fathers. He's the one I finally got attached to. I was like, Mom, I'm confused. But then finally, years later, I got the benefit of it, because out of all those experiences and all that pain, that day I made 3 different decisions. First decision is I just decided to focus on something different than him, and that's the power we have. We get to decide what to focus on, and my decision number 1 is I want to focus on the fact there's food. What a concept. Pretty cool. But the most powerful thing to change my life was meaning. I said, what does this mean? Because my father had always said, my mother had always said, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Don't care about anybody, they don't care about you. And that day I had physical evidence. Those you bringing food, I want you to know that's not just food. That's called love for someone. That's called hope for someone. That's called surprise for someone. And that day for me, I went, strangers care. And so I started caring about strangers. And I decided someday I'm gonna do the same. So when I was 17, I fed 2 families. It was like one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I went to the grocery store, I was all excited, saved up all my money, went to the manager and said, I wanna feed 2 families, this is what I'm doing, it's not for me, give me a discount. And he gave me 10%. And I thought, cheap bastard.
What does he think the profit margin is at the grocery store?
Yeah, it's not going to give you free food.
Well, the other thing is like a grocery store is like a high volume, low margin business. This is at a fucking business conference and he doesn't know this.
Well, motivational speaking is like a high,
Very high margin
business, so he doesn't know.
High volume of words, high margin of profit. Unless you break it down and talk about by the word, but still, my God, how much do you think I get paid for every word here? Less than a penny? I talk a fucking lot, all right?
I mean, what? He probably got paid like thousands of dollars at least to be at this conference.
I'd say
a disgusting amount.
Hundy large at least.
Yeah.
This food, and ironically, I called this church and I asked in the barrio, a particular place, where are some families in need? They gave me 2 names. I put on t-shirt and jeans. I wasn't going to be acknowledged. I also didn't want someone to be insulted because I saw what happened to my father. And I wrote a note, said, this is a note from a friend. And I said, I just want you to know, we know you're having difficult times. Everyone does at times. And I want you to have a beautiful Thanksgiving. And please feel loved, take care of your family. And someday, if you can, do well enough to do this for one other family and pass it on. But love a friend. And I had it written in Spanish as well.
Why? Oh, you should tell us why you wrote it. Oh, no. He's like, I saw ethnic last names and I figured I might as well write it in Spanish. Oh, God. What I would add, and he was 17. First of all, I don't believe this fucking story, right? Fucking bullshit. You cannot fact check this story, right? But actually, fuck it. This is shit that didn't happen. So we can forgive him for this fucking pretend. We can forgive him for this pretend insensitivity or whatever, right? Can you get canceled about a fucking story you tell that wasn't true? I mean, I don't know.
This rotten old van, stick shift van, that I borrowed from a buddy of mine with all these bags of food. And I went into this place and got out, pulled up this little tiny building, really tiny, knocked on the door. And when I knocked on the door, this little woman opened the door. It's probably half my size, which is not hard. I'm 6'7", so she's like 5'2". And she looked up at me like this and she saw the groceries and she screamed. And she started grabbing my head and pulled it down and kissed me. I was like, no. Delivery boy, delivery.
Oh, it's only okay if somebody kisses you. It's only okay if you kiss someone without their permission. I understand.
Oh, God gift. And she didn't speak English, so I handed her the note. She read the note, she crying again, started trying to kiss me again. I said, no. She goes, God gift. So I pointed, where do I put this? In this tiny little room, there's a table there. I put the food down, and I went over to get some more groceries. And when I did, 4 children come running out. And one hits my leg and wouldn't let go. And when they saw the pumpkin pie, it was over. And
yeah, I don't believe this story.
First of all, this little.
Well, when they saw the pumpkin pie, it was over because one of them was allergic to pumpkins, and then it was over for them.
I just wouldn't let go.
Oh, God.
And I delivered this food, and this woman was crying and smiling. And I stayed there just to take it in for a few minutes, seeing them all. It was like going back in time. And then as I went to go leave, I couldn't speak Spanish, and she was like trying to say something in Spanish. I didn't know what to say, and it was Thanksgiving, so I said, Feliz Navidad. It's like, I heard the song, okay? And she laughed and laughed.
That is kind of a funny joke that you didn't tell.
One of the more beautiful experiences of life, isn't it? When you can have both those experiences in your body simultaneously. And I remember I got in the van, and all the 4 kids were sitting on the bench here, and she's standing there waving, and I pulled and go in reverse, and I looked in the mirror, and as I looked in the mirror, I saw these kids there, and I saw Mom crying and smiling still.
Must have a really high definition
Nailed
rear
one of the
view
kids
mirror.
on the way out.
Started crying.
Yeah, I was a little confused. It sounded like the kids were in the back seat and he was
Yeah,
driving off with the kids.
he looked in the rear view mirror and then saw the kids.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is the kid was like right behind the van and he just plowed right into that kid.
Or you just stole them.
In my eyes, and I thought to myself, what? I mean, this is a beautiful thing. Why am I crying? And then I realized, what a gift that day was. I realized that my worst day of my life was my best.
He's like, but the second family, they told me to go fuck myself, just like my dad did to that guy. So I was like, well, then fuck you. And I ate their Thanksgiving dinner.
And my goal for you, if you don't already have it, my guess is you've already done it, knowing where you are in your world today. But maybe your second worst day, it's time to make a best day. Because out of every tragedy, out of every
a lot of white people in the crowd. Is fucking Andrew Yang speaking next?
It only gets healed when we find a deeper meaning. When we find there's a higher purpose in it. And I realized I wouldn't have been there that day. I wouldn't have that hunger to help somebody else if I hadn't had.
I can't believe we're like this far into this talk. And first of all, he said fucking nothing of importance.
What are you talking
yet,
about?
like,
He gave us 3 questions.
Yeah, 3 meaningless questions.
You could have
like,
played
the
3
audience is
games
still
of 20.
here.
You could have played 3 games of 20 questions in the time that he spent here.
Point missing. So it's very personal to me. And I want to thank all of you that made the contributions. And I told Mark and I've announced that I'm going to match the 1 million meals if you hit it. And I'm sure as hell expecting that you will. And so we'll get 2 million. And when I told that, then Mark said, I'll match that.
Nights like this,
What the fuck is this?
love like
We get copyright slammed because of this crappy dance music they're playing. I'm going to be so pissed. Like, what is he? And he's clapping weird too. He's like clapping like the ball of his hand or whatever it is. He's not clapping the palms. He's clapping like at his wrists or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't. He only wants to fuck up the mic by like huffing and puffing into it. He doesn't want his clapping to get caught by the mic.
Maybe. I thought he was just putting his hands way out so that it's very obvious he's like projecting your clap or something.
As
the
HK
stage.
says, everybody unclap for Tony Robbins.
So Mark's matched it. So if you do the 1 million, we're going to do 3 million here. So that's the way to play the game, I think. Just raise the game together.
Is that all or nothing? Or like if they get 982,000, sorry, other fucking 2.1 million people, we're not feeding you. These fucking greedy ass fucking people at the fucking Dreamfarce fucked you over.
I mean,
And
like,
that's technically what he said.
it's cool that he's giving to charity, but there are so much better things that he could do to help the world than like what he does for a living. Like he is not helping anyone by doing this. So like, yeah, I guess if he didn't give to charity, he would just be, sleazy. But now he's, sleazy and marginally charitable.
I would argue that it's worse than not helpful that he's doing these motivational speeches, because he goes up, does these motivational speeches, and the people in the audience feel like they're getting help, but they're not getting help.
Right.
And that's not actually going to get actual, real good help.
And not for nothing, a lot of businesses like reimburse people for their attendance at this conference, where if they wanted to like enrich the lives of their employees or even enrich their company, like they could spend the money so much better, like on their salespeople, send them to like some course, or I mean, I don't know, do a Pizza Friday. That's what they do for people to hook people up at work, right?
Or pay for healthcare.
Almost anywhere would be better than this specific speech right here.
Right. Maybe we'll do a Dreamfarce in a couple weeks and see what other fucking monsters are speaking at Dreamfarce.
And I'm personally also November 18th, I'm going to feed 50 million people. I've fed 42 million in my life. And the reason I tell you this, and I'll get off the soapbox, but I want you to just think about what's going to create meaning for you. Because money by itself won't do it. But impact will. And impact can be with your own child, spending more time with it. It doesn't have to be anything to do with contribution any other way. You can contribute to your own family. But contribution is what makes us feel fully alive. And I'm doing that because, I don't know if you're aware of it, but a year ago, last summer, Congress cut the budget for what was traditionally called food stamps by $8.7 billion. By the way, $8.7 billion is the equivalent of every family they support going without for food for 1 week a month for 12 months out of the year. And all the nonprofits are trying to support that. So I'm partnering with Feeding America. And I started writing this book, and I thought, I'm going to donate all the profits.
I wonder what he thinks about taxes.
10 million people. And then I was like, that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, he should be, if he's upset about that, he should be, out there protesting it, using his platform to protest it. And like to a certain extent, he is. He's talking about it right here, but he should be talking about it much more vigorously than this.
Right. The next thing might be we're holding an event. Actually, anybody who's able to get to DC, we're trying to hold an event in front of the steps of Congress to try to get this funding back, because I actually don't have $8.7 billion to fill this hole, and neither do you. But come on, that event, if he did that too, it would just be about him. He'd be like, okay, donate this money, but also, buy my course.
And I'll raise the bar, I'll get 20 million. And as time has gone by, I finally decided I'm going to do 50 million myself, and I'm looking to raise 100 million, and that's in addition to the million I'm doing here. That's not part of it. So if you want help, you're welcome to, and Feeding America is my partner, and we're working for matching funds to get to 100 million people. I'm already to 67 million just with some friends of mine before we even launch it. But it's a goal. And
it's kind of disgusting that he alone has that much money to put into charity.
Also, when he says he's feeding this number of people, he's talking about one meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, whatever I can't give 1 million people a meal, but he's not talking about feeding people in any sort of systemic way. He's literally talking about, I'm going to give out, 67 million meals. And better to do that than not, I suppose. But he's acting like he's feeding these people. And I mean, you're doing it once. It's crazy talk. Also, he's just there to tell everybody how great he is so far, is what I'm getting at this.
Yep.
Don't ask you to do it because it's heavy or something. Actually, do it because you can. Do it because it's fun. Do it because research shows that when it comes to money, buying things will never make you happy. Never. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have some nice things. Have some nice things.
Unless it's buying talks or motivational course.
Right. This one.
Why doesn't he just give all his money to charity then?
Right, or not all of it, but make it so he's able to give himself $8,000 or $10,000 a month allowance and give the rest of it away. Why wouldn't he do that?
Yeah,
he live very comfortably on $8,000 or $10,000 a month anywhere.
Yep.
Buying,
especially if he keeps the houses and shit he already owns. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, he wouldn't be able to pay the property tax on them. I guess he'd have to sell them.
Can't make you happy.
Almost for the poor.
People who say money doesn't matter, they don't know where to shop. Because there's some experiences you can buy that are extraordinary. Who's got some experiences, some trips, some things you've done with family or friends that will live with you for years? Who knows what I'm talking about here, right? Those things, that money can be a really valuable tool there. If you can find enough add value and have money and do those experiences, how cool. I'll tell you what else money research shows will do. People,
you know what actually would be a really nice experience that would live with us for years? Is if we ate the rich.
I was going to say if we had chosen a different piece of content for the intellectual Dollar Tree this week.
Cool. I'll tell you what else money research shows will do. People always say money doesn't matter once you get to a certain level. No, it matters that you can spend $5 a month and have more emotional juice, and it can be measured all the way down into your saliva by hormonal changes.
Wait, what?
You want to use money, not let money use you.
No, I'm uncomfortable.
Okay,
again.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
Yeah, he did not cite any research of any sort. He didn't even claim that it was science. Just making stuff up whole cloth.
Now, what nobody here is saying that you won't feel better if you were to go to our Patreon or eplex.store and give us $5 a month. You will in fact feel better all the way down into your saliva for doing that. But that's the only case in which this is actually true.
Yeah, you get those hormones in there when you do that.
And unless you don't want them, and then I won't. We won't. You wouldn't have to do anything weird.
Of drudgeries. Who here loves to pay for shit you don't want to do? Right? Cleaning the toilet. Who likes to have someone else be able to do that if at all possible, right? Because once you do that, those drudgeries are gone. What do you get to do? You have time, and with time you can spend
I actually like doing stuff myself.
If you're too busy to clean your own bathroom once in a while.
I'll vacuum the house and I'll be like, hey, I could have paid someone $100 to do that, but I just did it myself, and that's pretty cool.
I kind of have to agree with him on this one. I really don't like cleaning, and I have no problem paying people to clean. I have a really good cleaner right now. I'm very happy with. So
okay. That's good. It's not for everybody, but
I really like fixing things myself. If something is broken and I'm able to fix it myself, I feel a lot better than if I just pay someone else to fix it.
It depends on the item. If I think I can fix it, sure. But if it's like my refrigerator, I'm going to feel really bad after attempting to fix it.
I fixed my refrigerator.
Well, good for you.
Things that matter for you that you can do in the world.
It's actually surprisingly easy to fix a refrigerator, depending on what's wrong with it.
Is actually giving it away. And nobody believes that until you do it. Now, if you don't give a dime out of a dollar, you're not going to give 100 million out of a billion ever. Don't kid yourself. So the place to start wherever we are. And if you do, I think you can find there's enormous enjoyment in that process.
Did you just say the poors need to be more charitable? I think that's what you just said.
I think he did.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he said, if you're making $10,000 a year, you should be given, 10% of that? You should be given $1,000 to charity.
But I want to point out that, somebody in the chat said that he was worth around 100 million, but he's talking about giving away 1 million.
Yeah.
We're talking 1% of his wealth.
And we don't know what other charitable stuff he does, but also once you get once you get rich, I think once you get really rich, the charity, it's going to cause a feedback loop that kind of adds to your mystique. And that once you're like him, he's not trading on anything except a mystique. And so if he's charitable, and I don't know if some people think he's good looking, not my type really, but if he's charitable, rich, good looking, people think maybe he's charismatic. Those things are all going to add to his mystique. And long term, doing charity is probably going to make him more money than if he didn't do it, because that would be missing from the mystique he's putting out there.
It's also tax deductible.
Not for nothing.
Up to 30%.
I think you'll also find that if there's somebody you love, you do something for, it's even more. So that's why I'm here. And I want to now make sure in the time that you're here, let's kick this in gear and let's talk about 3 things that can truly change the quality of your life. Number 1, first of all, if you make new decisions about the focus on, try this just for a moment. Just for a second, take a deep breath in. Exhale.
Oh God, is this meditation?
Breath work?
That was really pathetic. Let's try that again. Deep breath in, then make it a sexual moan and thoroughly enjoy it.
Whoa.
Oh, now he's doing it again.
Oh, that was much longer and deeper. I like it.
Oh, deep breath in.
One more time. Use deep breath in and give it a moan.
Nobody's going to moan for you, dude.
Now, one of the things that I
That's so weird.
Why is he doing
Why is he asking people to do that? This is the second time he's asked for sexual noises from the audience.
I feel some kind of way about this, and it's not the usual some kind of way that I'm talking about when I say something's making me feel some kind of way on stream.
Yeah, this
Very
is fucking
creepy.
weird.
really simple. And that is, everyone here is in business, and there's a problem that all businesses have. We're in the most competitive environment we've ever been in. We went from, 500 million people being online to a couple billion people being online. And in the next 4 years, they're saying we're going to have 3 billion more online. That means this entire world is a bigger market. If you're the person that adds more value, it also means you're going to have more competitors than you've ever seen in your life.
I think we should go back to mail order
The
catalogs.
economic world that we're in today
That was
is
better.
going to stay the way it is. Raise your hand. Okay, one man on drugs, there's always one. Okay. How many think?
Oh, he got him to touch him.
It's going to go through seasons. We're going to have
Which I
some
don't
more
like.
ups and downs as we adjust to what's happening in the world here. Say I. Well, then if we know that, our goal, you and I as leaders, should be to anticipate that. In fact, everyone in this room is a leader of something, whether you're the leader of the company or whether you're a leader of a department or whether you're a parent or hopefully you're a leader and not a follower. If you're a leader, you've got to exercise that skill. And so I want to talk to you about that. And one of the most important
I'm a
skills.
leader of my cat.
Most people don't exercise that leadership because they're
Actually, I'm
you,
not.
the
My cat is the leader.
Yeah, I was going to say that the giant orange cat that dive bombed me during the recording of the tech show is actually, he's in charge, but I evict him from the studio for the podcast part of the Intellectual Dollar Tree.
behind
He
your
allows
skill
you
sets.
to evict him.
And I'll give you an example of what I mean. How many of you in this room, I want an honest answer, and I'd like you to yell the answer, raise your hand if you would, please. How many of you in this room have ever experienced the absolute total humiliation of playing a video game against a child?
No, that's supposed to be fun.
If you've done this experience.
Like, even if you're good at it, you let the kid
why-
win, because that's why when you play games with kids, you let them win sometimes so that they get the fuck out of here.
Why does he
I think he's going
that's
the other way with this.
humiliating?
Go ahead, Matt.
I think he's going the other way with this. I think he's saying that you're playing a video game with a kid, some game that you haven't played before, but the kid has been playing forever, so you get beaten. I think that's where he's going to go with this.
He's going to be like,
but
you
like
need to
you-
practice. You need to practice so you can whoop little Billy's ass at that video game.
Yeah.
This is so weird because you as an adult aren't I mean I'm not saying video games are bad or anything, but you as an adult, your focus shouldn't be video games. The kid's a kid. They can focus on video games all day long. They're a kid.
And
Why does he think he should be better than a kid at a video game? That's so weird.
I disagree with you a bit. I'm an adult and I can focus on video games all day.
well, Matt,
Well, I'm not
Matt.
saying it's bad to play video games. I'm just saying it would be expected that a kid would beat an adult at video games.
Yeah.
Hear ya. What happens when you play the child? Who always wins? Come on, who wins? Always. Why? Is it because they're faster? Is it they're smarter? They're younger? Their neurons are functioning at a quicker tempo?
yes.
Here's how it usually works. You're a mother or father, you're an uncle or an aunt, your grandfather or grandmother, you're a friend of the family, you're looking for a gift. We live in a tech world, in a world where today children play with an iPad and learn how to use it before they know how to tie their shoes. How different is that world? I was with Mark yesterday.
But how's that different than watching TV before you learn how to tie your shoes?
How's that different than like playing an Amiga before you learn to tie your shoes?
Daughter for her 6-year birthday.
Like, I don't know how old he is, but he looks like when he was a teenager, he was playing on an Amiga.
Legos, and a friend of ours says, "Oh, my 6-year-old goes on the iPad, searches on YouTube for videos on how to build cool stuff using Legos, and starts to study how to build all these structures." That's the world we're in that our kids are in at 6 years old. And imagine what else they're searching for and finding at 6 years old. It's a wild.
Sounds like if you're, it sounds like you're like not the best parent if you're thinking about
technology,
that.
and most of us are not seeing what it's doing for us. So you sit down with this child who's high tech. You're not. Even the techies in this room aren't usually as gamers. I know there are plenty of gamers in the room, but there's plenty not. And then what does the child do? The child says, "Oh, come on." You go, "Look, I'm not good at this. This is for you. Come on, uncle. Come on, auntie. Come on, mom. Come on, dad. It's my birthday. It's Christmas." They use the guilt approach, don't they? And what do you find? You finally break down. Okay. Now you should know you're being set up when they go, "You go first." Right?
And then secretly, you're like in the top 1% world players, and you just fucking slaughter that kid.
Also on like at a family gathering, if a young kid wants you to play a game with them, they shouldn't really have to coax you into it. You should be like, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll play with you." Like, what? Otherwise, you're rejecting them.
And then just kick their ass and be like, "Don't challenge me at Smash Bros. I was playing Smash Bros. Before you were born."
Shoot, 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 shoot. You just shoot these guys and it all drops down. And you think, "Okay, I'm going to show this little bastard I can do a thing or two here, right?" Take out the gun, you shoot, 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 and you're dead in 2.3 seconds. Whose experience is say aye? Now what happens to the child? In about 45 minutes later.
Where is he going with this?
What game is this?
Am I right? And then you're really pissed. You're dedicated. You're devoted. You're focused. You're going to take this thing out. Last 4
Are
seconds and
you
you're dead.
motivated?
What if you ask the kid for some pointers? You're like, "Hey, I'm not doing so well. You got any pointers?" Kid will be
Yeah,
like,
I
"Oh
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
you.
Here's how you do this. Here, let me help you out here." Yeah, the kid will fucking totally help you. That not only are they fucking, they get to help an adult with something. Do you know how much kids love that?
I feel like he's talking about a free-for-all first-person shooter. That's kind of the motion that he's making is a free-for-all first-person shooter, which is not the kind of game you just pick up like that.
Right, and not for nothing, there are other games that are like strategy games where an adult would probably do better than a kid, even if the kid plays it all the time, and an adult just pops in because the adult's brain is more developed, and they'll figure out the rules of the strategy game, and they'll probably do better too. But like those are like long games. I'm not that necessarily interested in the game, but I am interested in where he's going with this, like what the fucking point is.
Yeah.
I mean, really what he should have done is tell the kid,
45 minutes again.
"All right, we're going to play tax preparation simulator and just bring up TurboTax."
Is it because they're faster? Is it because they're smarter? Is it because they're stronger? No, it's because they played this game before. As a result, they have the secret to success. They know the road ahead.
So 20 minutes later, he's gotten to where we all knew he was going.
Like, yeah, they know how to play. They've experience is the word we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a dumb point too. It's like, okay, so Someone who has been doing something for longer is generally going to be better than you at it. Cool. Never would have guessed it.
I know that it's. I'm just getting a little bit of I've done steroids vibes off this guy too, if we're being completely honest here.
You think?
Well, I'm sorry.
No.
They're not called steroids when they're prescribed to you legally. They call it something else.
Power called anticipation. Anticipation is the ultimate advantage. See, winners, leaders anticipate, losers react. The reason you get beat is you don't know where things are happening, so you're reacting. Reaction is always stressful.
Wait, he just said the reason you lose is because they have more experience.
Yeah, and also like
Now it's anticipation.
But the problem with this too is like you have to kind of be able to do both, right? Because if you anticipate and then you're like, oh shit, I didn't anticipate that. Well, now I guess you're reacting, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
You also have to be lucky.
Right. And
Yahoo anticipated a lot, but they weren't lucky. Google anticipated a lot, and they were lucky.
Caught up in our day to day. It's predictable the challenges you're going to have in your relationships, or with your kids, or with your body, or with your job, or with your economics, or with your mother-in-law or father-in-law. These are predictable. And if you were to anticipate these things and put a strategy in place, you could take it all out and have the quality of life that you deserve. In business, it's everything. Those that anticipate, those that lead, and then there's those that follow. The followers.
Wait, what is the leader? What's
So the more we can anticipate, and you
how did this have anything to do with leadership? He was just talking about experience and then somehow anticipating.
it's dumb too, because like things, no matter how much you think about what might happen, and wasn't he fucking saying earlier that like you can't predict things, and like there's some shit about like, oh well, I think this is going to go bad and it doesn't go bad. Well, then it's something you didn't anticipate happen, and then you react like this is bizarre.
Yeah.
I
Also,
was
you can't control events.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you should be able
right.
to anticipate them.
Yep.
This is weirder than I thought it would be. I thought I'd like hate him, and I don't like him, but this has been weird. He's made me uncomfortable a couple times, and he's contradicted himself a little bit more than I expected. But again, this is an inspirational talk.
Look at this lady in the background recording with her iPad.
She's pretending to record with her iPad, but she's actually like playing a first person shooter. She's like, that's
She's
right.
like, man, I'm just fucking destroying this kid over here on COD Mobile.
anticipate and lead unless you first learn how to lead yourself at a different level. And so I love to have you just see that if you and I can start to take control of our focus, and we can start to control the meaning of our lives and make something really that meaning that empowers us, because look, what's wrong is always available, isn't it? There's always an Ebola, a bird flu. There's always something that's going to kill the entire human race tomorrow on TV. And then there's your life. What's wrong is always available, and so is what's.
Sometimes it actually does kill millions of people, though.
Because otherwise you become the follower and you get to live your life. Even though you're a smart person, we're all smart, but it's easy to get led astray by everybody else's focus, isn't it? And then all of a sudden let them create the meaning for us. And then all of a sudden we're settling for a life far less than what we desire or deserve. So
Is he arguing for like ignoring politics and news and stuff to focus on your
Yes.
thing? Because, you know, that would have been a problem when COVID came out and we had these like things you were supposed to follow
Yeah.
to keep yourself safe from COVID.
Play
among
by
other
your own
things.
rules. Be a maverick. Don't wear a face diaper.
say,
You're not going to put me in a muzzle.
by the way, this to me is a little time, a couple hours, 2.5 hours, I guess, at this stage. Because kind of the minimum length of seminar I do is 50 hours, 50. And you go, are you kidding me? I don't like to hear myself talk. I like to see people do things so often they build muscle, not just thoughts. And so one thing I'm going to ask you to do in a few minutes is we're going to go from this passive mode that you're in right now
And everybody's going to drop down and give me 20.
into full engagement. Because
And make weird sexual noises while you do it.
when you're partially engaged, you get a little bit of result. When you're disengaged, we all know what you get, nothing. And we live in a society where most of us are so overwhelmed. There's so much information.
Dude, like there's another reason that people aren't paying attention to you. Like a lot of people are staring at their phones right now. It's because you've been talking for half an hour and you haven't said a goddamn thing.
But we're starving for wisdom. And so we got to separate it out. And so one way to separate out is I'd like to talk to you about 3 things that can help you increase your performance and your
Oh
life.
God,
What I've
more
been
like
saying I've been-
we were in the middle of the first thing in a list of 3 things, and now he's doing 3 more things.
He did complete the 3 things.
I thought he completed the first 3 things, and he tried to move on to the second 3 things, and I don't even know what and then he started talking about video games, and now he's on to a third 3 things. I don't know.
Yeah,
Completed the first 3 things,
leadership.
and then he said there was another 3 things. So he's on the first thing, but now there's 3 things on like the sub this one. So it's like 3.A.
So podcast listeners, you can't tell, but HK is actually trying to locate the things with his fingers in a way that I feel like if he keeps doing it, he's going to break his arm.
is what can increase performance for an individual or an organization. But also, I'm equally obsessed about what's going to make somebody fulfilled. Because who's had this
also
horrible
cocaine.
experience? Who here has ever achieved your goal and then your brain said, "Is this all there is?" Who's had this experience here? Say I. And that's worse
No,
than
because I
failing.
was
At
on
least when you
cocaine.
fail,
I did it
your brain
right.
can figure this out and do it again a new way. But when you succeed and you're miserable, you're basically technically screwed. So what I want to make sure that you and I do is we set ourselves up to be able to win. So there's 3 things I'd like to walk you through. 1, I'd like to walk you through how to the competitive edge that's going to get you both the performance you want at the highest level.
Oh, definitely supplements.
Fulfillment you want.
No, probably cocaine.
I can tell you there's 2 master lessons in life. Lesson 1 is the science.
Maybe a little bit of cocaine, mostly
2
vitamins.
master lessons in life. Lesson 1 is the science of achievement. If you want to
Wait, hold on. We just had this is two lessons within the first point of the thing that was within the first point of the other thing. Is that what this is? So this is 1.A. Roman numeral 1.
We're all the way down the confidence game rabbit hole right here, buddy.
Yeah.
If you want a magnificent life, which by my definition has nothing to do with me, it's life on your terms. Some of you, what's an extraordinary life? It's having a cool little company. For some of you, it's having a big billion-dollar company. For some of you, it's not a company. It's 3 wonderful children that you totally love and adore and spend time with. For some of you, it's poetry.
For some of you, those 3 wonderful children are working at your company.
Life on your terms.
They just legalized that. And what was it? What was the state that just like legalized child labor?
Did they do it in 2017 during Tony Robbins' talk?
Oh no!
I thought they were. I thought they were doing it at the national level. They were trying to weaken child labor laws.
Did they do any of this in 2017 during Tony Robbins' talk?
This is no. So
damn good at it, or you wouldn't be in this room, right? You know how to go from where you are, have a vision, make it real. Speeding that up, that's my business. And when Mark talked about it, he actually showed me the other day.
Up cocaine, yeah.
Together a couple days ago, and
At least you think you're speeding it up.
first day he did his V2 mom. Which
Everything seems faster to you.
What you really want, what your vision, your values is, why do you want it, and walking through the obstacles and the solutions and strategies to get where you want to go. And he showed me on the back of an American Express bill where they designed on the very first day Salesforce. And there you see that day where he engaged. He engaged in his vision instead of settling for a life that someone else had designed. He had a great life, extraordinary
That
life.
day.
Top guy at Oracle, working for one of the most brilliant people on the face of the earth. Can you imagine how hard it would be to leave there and start something from scratch?
Oh, Larry Ellison's a big piece
Probably
of shit,
pretty easy.
actually.
But he had something larger that he wanted.
probably pretty easy because he had a lot of money, saved away from
Get yourself
working
there.
at
You gotta
top
understand
level
the
at
science
a
of achievement.
big company.
But I know so many people I get the call from, most successful in the world.
I would like to be in that
Business person,
situation. Can I be in that situation,
leader
please?
of some sort, economic leader.
Like not even worrying about the fact that your Amex bill is 80 grand and then deciding just to outline a company on the back of it. You're like, fucking chump change. Let's start a company.
Trader. And they call me up and they want me to change something in their business, but I know what they really want. They really want to find fulfillment still.
Right, because if you were to help them change something with their business plan, you would be useful and you wouldn't be able to grift them for the rest of their lives.
Success without fulfillment is the ultimate.
Also, if you do something that's like a tangible thing, you might be wrong. Whereas right now, like all he's doing is just giving like platitudes, and these can never be wrong. Like what he's saying is like stuff that's designed to never be wrong.
Unfalsifiable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, like his story about the food.
Yeah. Or like, do you even remember the first things that he said? Something about focus. And then there was like, You find
focus,
meaning
and
in
then
like
what is
something.
what is the meaning, and then what am I doing, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I also think like some of the point, the point of like his speech patterns and the way he's talking is that you actually forget like, remember how it took you a second to recall the first things
Yeah,
he was
'cause they were
saying?
so
Even
meaningless.
remember how it took you a few seconds to recall the first things he was saying that were supposed to be the point of his speech? This is actually ineffective communication if you think about it.
Yeah, intentionally ineffective.
Right? You make everybody else feel great. I mean, it's a horrible example. I hate it. But we all know an extraordinary spirit that took his own life just recently. Probably lit up more human beings than almost anybody alive when it comes to humor and joy. He made everybody else feel happy but himself. It's sad. You don't want that to be you. If there's any gift he can give besides his joy, is the evidence of what you don't want to move towards. Nobody in this room is going to move towards that.
That when Robin Williams took his life.
Along the way by giving up what we really desire and believe in. And my goal is to make sure to see if we can wake that up.
I feel like he shouldn't be using Robin Williams in his speech like that.
I feel like Robin Williams would have done a killer Tony Robbins impression.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did at some point.
Like a movie making fun of Tony Robbins with the reanimated corpse of Robin Williams would be just a blockbuster.
Look at how many people in the background are just like staring at their phones. He has lost like 50% of the audience at this point.
Special, unique identities, but there's certain fundamentals. If you do them in mass, you're going to be overweight. If you do them differently, you're going to be fit and strong. Same thing with money. But fulfillment is as unique as art. Art is what one person thinks is beautiful, somebody else can think is ugly, and that's perfectly fine. Have you ever gone to an art museum and you see this big red square and they go, $10 million, you go, you gotta be kidding me.
Rothko.
$10 million for that freaking square? I'll draw you a square. But someone else, no, look at the texture, the taste, the flavor. I can taste the paint from here.
I mean,
He
that's
does not understand
why.
art at all.
You're buying, if you buy something like that, you're buying it because the artist is popular and you're hoping it's going to go up in value.
Yep.
Or if you're like him, you see a $10 million painting and you just lick it to see what it tastes like.
A different way of being fulfilled, right? So those are the two kind of lessons of life. So this is what I'd like to do to help you with both those today, if you want to play with me. Number one,
Live, laugh, love.
let's take a look at what will give you the edge. Who's up for having a competitive edge?
Oh, was this actually the second skill?
And it's not BS and it's not
Holy shit.
It's something
He
you
made
can
it to a
test.
second
The
point.
edge is what's going to get more out of you. Second, I'd like to show
So we're
you
in 1.A. Roman numeral 2.
edge is what's going to get more out of you. Second, I'd like to show you how to create a breakthrough. Who here has an area of your life where there's something you've struggled with for a while and you're sick of struggling with it and you're sick of making excuses and you want to actually change it today? Who's got
Somebody in the audience is like, my boss is making me sit through your talk. I'm sitting next to my boss. I just want to go to the bar and get drunk. Can you please get to the point? Like somebody.
Yeah, like literally your talk. Can we wrap it up here, please?
one of those in your life? Say I. If you want to play full out, I can show you that. And the third element really affects the other two, and it's really the one that affects business and life, and that's the power of engagement. All of these are tied to engagement. And I'll tell you what triggered me on this. This
Sounds like Scientology.
Here. And engagement is one of those, new flash
Wait,
words
where
in
did
corporate culture.
where did these come from?
What?
We got 3 new things here. What?
Was this what he just talked about, or
Where is this slide from?
yeah, he did say something about breakthroughs, and he just said something about engagement. I don't know where the edge came from.
That's
Well,
that
I
guy's
heard
in
him
U2.
say the edge, but that was like 4 sentences ago.
but that guy's in U2. That's who's gonna the U2's gonna perform actually.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Like,
what it is. Yeah.
Did he just like rapid fire these points just now and we
I
missed
think
it?
he did.
Well, we're not going back. All right.
Please don't.
Full engagement, partial engagement. But it's really true. Engagement plays such a huge role. And some of the studies that are out right now are mind-boggling. Have you seen the recent studies that they've done? 142 countries asking workers around the world, how would you describe yourself? Fully engaged, partially engaged, disengaged, aggressively disengaged? And
You should poll the audience right now with the same questions, sir.
But like that's such a weird question. How would you even answer that?
found out, throw it
Like,
up there.
They mean at work or in life? And like,
Well, yeah,
how would
I
you
think
even
he
answer that?
just
Like,
said it really wrong, because I heard about a study like this before, and they're talking about at work, do you feel engaged or disengaged? I don't know about this aggressively disengaged. I don't even know if that's quite I don't think that's what the word they use, but
I'm scanning the audience for someone who is aggressively disengaged right now, actually, but the resolution isn't good enough to see like the looks on people's faces. So
both these two in the front row that haven't looked up, I've been watching them. They haven't looked up in at least 5 minutes.
They're live tweeting this.
Aggressively disengaged. And guess what they found out? Throw it up there. Around the world, in 142 countries, they found out that 13% of employees worldwide said they were actually engaged in their work. Now, for us in this room, you'd say that's absurd, there's something wrong with the survey. Well, you'd be right. In a room like this, it's full engagement, or at least a lot fuller engagement. 29%.
He hasn't been looking around the room.
So much better when you're 13. Like, so which would you rather have, a punch in the face or a kick in the stomach? But
I've been thinking about doing both right now, but I'm not there.
People are disengaged at work. In the richest, most powerful, most influential country in the world. It's mind-boggling. Now, if it was only one study, you'd say, oh, it was a partial, but you can see study after study coming up with similar numbers, slightly off, but pretty much the same ratios. Now, here's what's really interesting. Of those 71%, there's a group in there, about 24% of them, that are actively disengaged.
Well, like, so much of our work is just meaningless. Like, how many jobs do you think it actually takes, like, 40 hours a week to do? Like, there's a handful, but, like, most jobs take less than 40 hours a week to do. But we still have to be at work for 40 hours a week. Why? Like, yeah, most people are disengaged because they're done with their job before they can go home.
Or they're waiting for something or somebody else, right? Like, things don't always happen exactly when you want. You don't always have control over when things happen.
Yeah, like if your boss is always late to the meeting, then yeah, you're going to be actively disengaged and kind of bitchy at the meeting. I mean, like, come on. You're like, you called us all here. Fuck you. Like, I think, is that what they mean? I think that's what actively disengaged means, right?
Yeah.
It means they hate what they do and they hate you. Now, this is pretty important, isn't it? They hate what they do, they hate you, and they will actively work to disempower the organization. Who has ever bumped into one of these humans? Raise your hand, say I. Okay, so when you bump into these humans, it's not usually a pleasant experience, and we all know they're out there.
Yeah, those people are on the Scientology tone scale. They're at the 1-1. They're covertly hostile. That literally this is a concept straight out of Scientology. I'm not kidding. We've watched videos about this concept.
Wait, how much damage can they do in a world that has, social media everywhere, where good news travels fast and bad news travels faster, and people don't care what the truth is afterwards. It's a cool story, it makes it go. So this is an area that if you're going to change your business, you got to make a difference. So here's what I'm looking at. What makes the difference in people? What makes the difference in an organization? And I would submit to you that it isn't getting a head start. You can find individuals who you give everything to. You can love on them, give them a great education, they get a great economic background, and can spend the rest of their life going in and out of rehab. Who's seen this before, knows what I'm talking about? Say I.
Oh, now he's shitting on drug addicts. Great.
On the other hand, you see people that life's kicked in the face. Somebody's been abused mentally, emotionally, physically, you name it, and they become the Oprahs of the world. So it's certainly not, advantage does not come because you were given something. And by the way, in business, advantage doesn't come because you have most resources. Companies with most resources.
Yes, it does.
This is as good a place as any to end
I'm going to
the
go
pod.
ahead and hard disagree on his point here.
Yeah, this is as good a place as any to end the pod. And the people watching live and the people on the Patreon, you're going to be really glad to know that we're not going to fucking finish this. Sometimes I'm like, this kind of sucks, but we're going to have to finish it. Not this. But I do want to, like, I was thinking I was going to be able to draw some comparisons to him from like Jordan Peterson. And there were a few, or like maybe like, mostly Jordan Peterson, actually, because of the IDW, Jordan Peterson's the one who's most like an inspirational speaker.
Yeah.
But this guy was more like a tent revivalist or like a fucking Scientology video.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of the like broader like sort of appeals to like intelligence that we hear on the like from the IDW. I didn't hear any of the poor me, people are making fun of me. I didn't hear any of the sort of tropes that we hear that like, oh, the establishment is out to get you. I was expecting some of that. And what we got was like What we got was like a tent revival and a Scientology video.
Well, he did bag on news industry a bit. He did a couple other things like that, but yeah, it was mostly the tent revival. But that's kind of what the motivational speakers do,
right? They're preachers,
yeah,
but not like a cool preacher, right?
Are there cool
Is
preachers?
there such a thing?
Are those the ones that sit in their chair backwards?
Yeah. No, that's a youth pastor, and you should be very terrified of that person. But yeah, I was just expecting more of the tropes. Like when we watched HK, remember when we watched that David Miscavige video, and we were able to point out trope after trope after trope that reminded us of Sam Harris, Brett Weinstein, Jordan Peterson. And I don't think we caught any of that. There was a little bit of the Jordan Peterson self-help shit, but it was so minuscule in the whole thing. It was definitely more I am going to poorly tell you a story and explain why that makes me awesome. And that's that's maybe like an Eric Weinstein thing, but I mean, I don't want to cast too many aspersions at Mr. Robbins here. Eric Weinstein is way more annoying than Tony Robbins.
I think if we had been watching if we had been watching someone interview him and they were giving him a hard interview, we probably would have seen a lot more of the tactics that the IDW gives.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny, when I was looking for interviews for him for the first one, it was always him doing the interview. It doesn't seem like he really takes interviews, or if he does, it's with other grifters, and it's more like a conversation than him being interviewed and being asked questions like a traditional interview. Because why would he take an interview with, like, I don't know, a business reporter asking him difficult questions about business, and that, like, that would be a dumb thing for him to do.
I mean, even that is not unlike the IDW.
Yeah, that. But again, we're just speculating as to the nature of the interviews because we haven't seen them. The only one we saw was him interviewing that other dude, and that was fucking awful episode of the IDW. I'm more sorry about that one than this one, but not by much, but just for different reasons. So yeah, I was expecting more intellectual dark web and less like tent revival from him.
Yeah.
But this is, I think I think Lisa in the chat said that Salesforce is probably just like a sermon for people who are like atheists, or it's not a religious sermon. It's like a secular sermon about money and business and fucking, I don't know, fucking food banks.
Personally, I was kind of surprised. I know you guys probably don't know too much about Tony Robbins in his past, but he came to fame and became like this motivational speaker out of NLP. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but he didn't bring up any of that. So maybe he's moved on completely from it or not.
What is NLP?
NLP, and well, there's the one that I'm specifically talking about is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's this like psychological thing that was really big like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, at least. Tony Robbins was actually like way in the beginning of it. But it's, if you've ever heard like, or seen these books that are like how to hypnotize someone to do whatever you want covertly or something like that, that's basically NLP.
Oh, like how to make friends and influence people would be one of those books, maybe.
Except no, because that, I mean, that was way before this came out, but this is actually it was created by these two guys who came out of academia as psychologists that called Bandler and Grinder, I think.
Grinder, you say?
Bandler and Grinder. And the idea was they had this like mental model that you could basically program the mind to do, or other people's minds basically do whatever you want. And it was very hokey, and for some reason, lots and lots of people got behind it. And it's still around. People still do it. I still hear about it occasionally, but it's not nearly as popular as it was 10, 20 years ago. And Tony Robbins was like a big proponent initially of it. And he used to do a bunch of NLP stuff. You'd see it. There's like little techniques you'll see if you're aware of it that people will bring up all the time.
Fair enough. Well, that's been another episode of the show. I'll read my own show out for a change. Thanks everybody for listening to the pod of the Intellectual Dollar Tree. If you're listening or watching live, hang out. If you want to know what happens after this, if you'd like to listen to some other sort of infuriating content of a different variety, and you don't want to get on Twitch, go to patreon.com/echoplex or eplex.store. Subscribe at $5 or more, and the whole audio and video of this gets sent directly to your inbox. This is Boomers by Periscope. Change the color of the lights, change the content of my drink, and I'm going to come back and watch something else that's going to fucking piss everybody off. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week. Goodbye, podcast listeners.
Should you pay when